G'day guys, how's it going? In this tutorial we're going to be looking at how to memorize the most commonly used chords. I'm also going to give you a bonus chord at the end, so make sure you stick around till the very end of the tutorial. Now, many music students find memorizing chords confusing because they concentrate on the alphabet and never see the simple pattern that all chords follow. This pattern can be easily seen if we look at the distance between each note in a chord. Let's start with the most common chord, which is a major chord. Here in my example, I have a C major chord, and all major chords only have 3 different notes in them. And as you can see, we only have 3 notes, which are C, E, and G. And I've also numbered them up the top here. These numbers represent the scale degrees because all chords are actually taken from a scale. And of course, the major chord is taken from the major scale. But the thing that I want to point out here that's the easiest to memorize is the distance between each of the notes in the chord. So in between the first and the third note, there are 3 notes. Now you might be thinking, hang on, I only see 1 note in between 1 and 3. Well, there is actually 3 notes because you need to count the black notes as well as the white note. So there are 2 black notes and 1 white note, so the spacing in between 1 and 3 is actually 3 notes. Now the spacing between the 3rd and the 5th note is 2 notes, 1 white and 1 black. And this is the pattern for all major chords. All major chords follow 3 notes in between the 1st and the 3rd note and 2 notes in between the 3rd and the 5th note. Let's have a look at another example here. Let's have a look at our next example here, which is the D flat major chord. And like the C major chord, there is only 3 notes in the D flat major chord. And of course, I've numbered them up the top, 1, 3, and 5. But the thing I want to point out here is that there are 3 notes in between the 1st and the 3rd note, just the same as the C major chord. That is 2 white notes and 1 black note. And of course, the spacing in between the 3rd and the 5th note is 2 notes, 1 black and 1 white, which is exactly the same as the C major chord. So 3 notes and then 2 notes. Let's have a look at another example. Here we have the D major chord, and of course the D major chord only has 3 notes in it. And of course the spacing in between the 1st and the 3rd note is 3 notes. And in this case there is 1 black and 2 white. And in between the 3rd and the 5th note, there are 2 notes, 1 white and 1 black note. So just to make sure that you understand this, all major chords follow this pattern of 3 notes and then 2 notes. Okay, let's move on and have a look at another chord here. The next chord we're going to look at is a minor chord. Now, all minor chords follow this same pattern as well, and it's actually the exact opposite to the major chord. And the major chord had 3 notes in between the 1st and the 3rd note, but this actually only has 2 notes in between the 1st and the 3rd note. And if we move between the 3rd and the 5th note, it has 3 spaces or 3 notes, 2 white notes in this example and 1 black note. You may also notice here that the 3rd has a little flat sign. So this is actually a flattened 3rd, so all minor chords have a flattened 3rd, while in the other examples, which were major chords, they had a 3rd. So just to remind you, all major chords have 3 notes and then 2 notes. However, this is a minor chord, so it only has 2 notes and then 3 notes. Moving right along, we now have our power chord. Now, some might argue that this is not a chord, but it certainly is, even though it's only got 2 notes. Now, In the power chord, it only has a first and a fifth note, and the distance between the first and the fifth is 6 notes. So let's count this out. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that, of course, works for all power chords. And finally, here is our bonus chord, which is our dominant 7th chord, and it's commonly referred to as a 7th chord. And the start of the 7th chord is actually a major chord with just an added flattened 7th at the end. So we can see that a C major chord has a 1, a 3, a 5, and a flat 7. And just like the other major chord before, there are 3 notes in between the first and the third note. There are 2 notes in between the third and the fifth note, and in between the fifth and the flat 7th, there are 2 notes. And those are the 4 common chords that I wanted to share with you in this tutorial. So, what has been your experience with memorizing chords, and did you find these tricks helpful? I'd love to hear from you, so please leave your experience or questions in the comments. And if you'd like to see more tutorials like this, please hit the subscribe button and click on the bell so you're notified when the next one is released. Thanks guys, and see you in the next tut. Bye!